All right, there we go. Let me see real quick. Shalom, shalom. All right. How y'all feeling? Good, good. You having a good Sabbath? There you go. Getting close to that new year. Got like another month. But today's lesson is going to be more centered around what today's month is. So we know month of February. What month is it? What month do they say for month of February? Do y'all know what I'm leading towards? It's on my Black History Month. So we're gonna go into a little bit about Black history. I feel like it's good to know a little bit about exactly what our nation did do, after slavery, because when you're in school, they don't really tell you much exactly what we did. We know that there is segregation, and during that segregation, what I was able to find based off of research is that during that segregation, it was actually very successful. So we did much better when we wasn't joining hand in hand with the heathen, which makes sense because the Most High never wanted us to join hand in hand. So what I'm going to bring out, me and Mosh here, we're going to bring out some thriving communities that we had that's established within history. And most of these communities you might not even have heard about. Like Black Wall Street is a good one, a common one. There's some other ones that's different than Black Wall Street. So that actually had similar success as Black Wall Street, that had the same type of investments, that had the same type of businesses, that was very successful economically, but they don't really teach you much about that. Even Black Wall Street, I don't really recall being taught about Black Wall Street while in school. And we know how Black Wall Street was destroyed. But Nick, look, I'm gonna show you some other thriving communities who had similar impacts, but unfortunately they failed as well. And as you can guess, they fell similar to the way Black Wall Street fell. So we're going to jump into that. I guess I'll give a shout out to this group called Black Excellence Abundance Group. They had a little documentary on it, just breaking down the benefits of it. I did a little bit more research on the massacres and the things on how it fell. Also, shout out to there's a Black historian. His name is John Henrik Clarke, which made the African Holocaust book. And then also for the Babylon and Timbuktu book, is something I'm going to get into towards the end, even though that's before history. But right now we're going to focus, or before slavery, but right now we're going to focus on after slavery. So what were we doing where them segregation laws was implemented, when we had the Jim Crow laws that was implemented on our people? So this is Black history. So let's start off with the scriptures first. Get Revelations chapter 2, verse 9. Yeah, Revelation chapter 2, verse 9.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty.
See, the Most High says he knows our works. He knows the tribulation and the problems that we go through. And he understands that we're in impoverished conditions, that we're subject to poverty, that we live in poverty. We don't live in the best areas. We live in the ghettos, the slums. We get the crumbs of what's left off from the plate. We understand those things, but what does the Most High say about us?
But thy art rich.
He says we're rich. So why would the Most High call us rich, but then say that we're subject to poverty, tribulation, and that we're subject to our works and everything? We put in a lot of work, but we're still in these bad conditions, these cursed conditions. So what I'm bringing out here is because it's our mental mindset. So even if you look through history, what I did find is that there's much more successful communities like Black Wall Street. And the reason is because it was a will that our people usually have. Our people usually have a will to want to be successful. Our people usually have a will to want to be able to understand why we're not thriving as a nation of people. They just don't have the scriptures to back it up. So that's why it's never successful. That's why when the scriptures get Deuteronomy 28:68, we're going to bring that point out, because it's not on the last part of the scripture. I'll wait till we read it. It brings out a point, and we always relate that to revolutionaries, but also that can relate to our actions as well. So for the so-called Black man, what he does within history is he has a pattern of trying to figure out how we can become independent, whether it's economics, whether it's political, whether it's just getting into assets, which honestly, we see that now within our generation. You see it's kind of going up a little more. how can we, the black dollar per they say, or whatever, or how we can invest into these type of communities or businesses that's black owned. It's common, but this is something that we've been doing. This is nothing new. We've been at higher points, but we always seem to come down is because the Most High said that would happen. Go ahead and read it.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So we understand the spiritual aspect between the word Egypt simply means bondage. So the Most High said, I'm going to bring you into bondage again with ships. We understand that we did go on ships. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Mm-hmm.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
So we know that as basic slavery. We know that happened. That's a proven fact that we were sold on them auction blocks, that we was sold for just wine or whatever it might be as a slave. But go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
So this is the point that I'm focusing on. It says, no man shall buy you. Now, when we're on the street corner and we bring this scripture out, we always say that this means that no one is going to be able to save you, that you're not going to be able to get that salvation. That salvation is going to only come from the Most High through his son. So now what I'm bringing out, and the reason why I thought this was relevant is because I see my people. I love the fact you want to be more connected with your community or your nation of people. That's beautiful. But there's a bigger picture. What you don't understand is that within history, that we already was very successful prior, but we fell down and we had everything going for ourselves. But why? Is because the Most High said, no man shall buy you. That means no man is going to save you. Regardless of what we think with our own minds or what we need. We might say, oh, I just need some gold. I need just assets. I need a business. We need our community to be running based off our business. Yes, that's good on how to make the black dollar circulate, but that's still not going to avoid you from getting out of oppression. So regardless of what we do, the Most High said you're still going to be oppressed and no one is going to save you because you're in bondage until you acknowledge your offense and you pray towards him. So that's why I wanted to bring out this lesson. But go ahead and give me Judith chapter 5. And then Mosh as well. He got some fun facts that he's going to bring in order for us to understand how glorious it was when we was running things. It was good. We had good moments and we could do business. And that alone too, that shows something. You know that we have a reputation that black people can't do business. They don't know how to be organized. They don't know how to properly do things. According to history, that's all that we've been doing. We do have some bad moments. We have bad tendencies based off of slavery alone, based off of just being conditioned. But still, at the same time, our people is not very lazy people. We're going to get out there and get that money. We're going to figure out how to make it happen. We know we're going to make it happen. But we've got to make sure that our focus is the Most High. Nevertheless, still, it's always the Most High, because that is our source of wisdom, as it says in Deuteronomy chapter 4. So go ahead and get that Judith chapter 5, verse 17, because I want to bring something out about the heathen. Judith chapter 5, verse 17.
Judith chapter 5 and verse 17. And while they sinned not before their God, they prospered.
So the heathens understood this. They said if they don't sin amongst their God, against their God, then they're going to prosper. They're going to be a successful people because their source of wisdom is there, and their God is going to give them that power, that light. Go ahead.
Because the God that hateth iniquity was with them.
Because the Most High hates iniquity. That means everything that we establish, when we own or run the land, everything that we establish, we're going to hate iniquity and have a law against iniquity because the Most High gave us that law. That's how we was very successful. We call ourselves kings and queens. This is for my people that's not within the truth. They call themselves kings and queens, but they don't understand what type of law that we follow in order to get to that status. The law that we follow was based off of the Most High's laws. We kept that because he gives you understanding of how you run your land. Go ahead.
But when they departed from the way which he appointed them.
But he said, when they depart, this is the heathen talking. He said, when they depart from the Most High ways, what happens?
They were destroyed in many battles very sore.
They're destroyed. They're conquered. They're people that's subject to being conquered, and they're just going to be slaves because they're not being connected with the Most High anymore. So the heathen understood that the only thing I got to do is get them away from the Most High. And then from there, it's an easy battle. It's an easy battle. So they understood the simple concept. Go ahead.
and were led captives into a land that was not theirs.
Mhm.
And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies.
And their cities were taken by enemies. So as we go through these lessons and we look at thriving communities that we have, you're going to see a pattern that these communities was overthrown. It was overthrown, even though we had everything going for ourselves. And it started off from something very small, but still was destroyed. We even had our own government body, as I'm going to bring out one of the communities. They're the first Black government body that they had, but still, it still got overthrown. It still got taken over. It's because we didn't have our source of wisdom. So let's go ahead and finish this and then we get started.
But now are they returned to their God and are come up from the places where they were scattered and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate.
All right, go ahead and drop that. So that's exactly what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get back to our position of authority. So now we do have to, now this lesson is not to belittle anybody that's trying to be big on economics, on how you're able to make or establish your own businesses. That's part of the law. When you read the law, is how you understand how you run your companies or your businesses, how you deal with one another. But what I will say is that our position as a nation of people, we got to be that way. It can't just be one simple group over here that's doing it, one simple group over there. We need an overall universal law that's going to be able to help us establish that. Where's that law found? It's within the scriptures. It gives you that understanding. So we got to get back to that law. So now let's go ahead and get started with the first, the first community that I looked at that I was able to find. And this community is located in Rosewood, Florida. So let me get this article real quick. We'll work on them visuals. So Rosewood, Florida. Go ahead and read that.
Rosewood, Florida. Though it was originally settled in 1845 by both Black and white people, Black codes and Jim Crow laws in the years after the Civil War fostered segregation in Rosewood.
So this city, Rosewood, Florida, was a place where Blacks and whites both dwelt. They dwelt. They lived there. But what was instituted was the Jim Crow laws. You know about the Jim Crow laws. Also segregation. So segregation is when we were separated. So you know how you have those images where it's white only and colored only. You can drink from this specific fountain if you colored or whatever it might be, or you can go to a restaurant, but it was only for whites only. So those type of things. This is around that time. But what happened with this city was that in the midst of everything happening, it was a split that they was trying to do. But the Black population was overseeing the white population. So as time went on, the whites, they became to feel a little bit uncomfortable because they didn't want to be around no colored people like that. They didn't want anything to do with us. So over time, they started being pushed out of the neighborhood. The same way kind of how it was with LA. People get pushed out of the neighborhood. So as they started getting pushed out, what did Black people do? So remember, this is a time of segregation. So segregation, you have to be able to provide for your own. We had to have some of our own type of business. We had to figure out how we was going to run things in our community. So within this city, it was described as being very self-sufficient, clean, and quiet. That don't sound like nothing like the hood now, right? We are not self-sufficient, clean, or quiet nowadays. But within this city, that was the reputation that they had. Rosewood, Florida. So Rosewood. So it was described as being very self-sufficient. Even by the year 1920, they said most residents, just your normal residents, were all self-sufficient. So as a community, they're known for being self-sufficient. But what did they have from it? Or how did they thrive from it? They thrived from the timber industry, which is basically like the wood industry. So you know how like when we were writing with the pencils and stuff like that, that was booming at that time. And they happened to have one of the mills within the land. So that's how they became to be so successful. And they had churches, of course, because our people try to be spiritual. We just don't have a good following our backing for it. So they had the churches. That's what you're going to see in each community. The first thing, they're going to build a church. Sure. They're going to meet up at the church and they're going to discuss at the church, whether it's a revolutionary or if it's a political law they feel like we should establish or whatever. It's going to be at the church. So they had the churches, they had schools for children, the ones that's getting older. So they had proper education. They had the sugarcane mill, and they even had entertainment such as baseball teams. And they just had their normal general stores. You had a pharmacy, they had doctors. If you needed to go to the grocery store, they had that for you because they had connections with who they needed to connect it with in order to bring that in within the land. So this was a very successful, self-sufficient community. But the thing is how did it fall though? The crazy part on how it fell, which I'm gonna get a point. This is their downfall right here. So if you should look up, it's called the Rosewood Massacre. So remember, I said the black population within this land was very high compared to the white population. You started feeling uncomfortable, they started moving out. But there is a but. There's always a but. There was one white family that actually owned a business within this land. It was a normal general store. So you already know that's just something that a disaster waiting to happen. So what ended up happening is this woman by the name of Fannie Taylor. She had bruises. She had bruises and scars and stuff around her body. So guess what she did? She said, a black man did it to me. She said a black man assaulted her. He was like, well, where do you live? I live in Rosewood. Oh, it's a black community. Makes sense. So she reported it to the sheriff. What did the sheriff do? Said, we're going to call it a rape case. We're gonna call it a rape case. So they took it as a rape case. And then guess what? Her husband, a known white, whatever you want to call him, Edomite man, whatever. When he was working, he told all his other white friends. And you know who his white friends was? Them KKK rallies, them KKK groups. So they said that word spread so quickly and people were so backing up her husband that they had 500 KKK members that was ready to go down to that city to find that man. But what did they do? They wasn't looking for that man. They was looking for any black skin, colored skin that they can destroy. So at first it was like, oh, we're going to find that man who did that. Then it went to like the imaginary, whoever this man is, describe him, oh, he tall, dark skin. You go into a black community, what you going to find? Exactly. So once they went into the community, the first thing they went to the church. But they didn't go in there trying to be political, trying to figure out who it is. They went in there for war. And who they went to the church because they knew that's where we was going to be at. The main part where most of the city is going to be at is at the church. First thing they did, they burned the church, and whoever was running out was getting killed. And they surrounded the church. They moved on to the homes, did the same thing with the homes. They burned the homes. And they even, they said people started fleeing, and they even went to other people's homes just to try to pack in, to try to hide. But that didn't work out either. So this community, it went from, what was the year? I didn't get the start year. Oh, it was 1920 is when it was most sufficient. That's when it was at its peak. 1923 is when it was destroyed. It took only three years in order for them to completely destroy it. And it wasn't just over a day span. It was something, it was just war that went on. So we did have some moments where we was fighting back, but that's just going, the other KKK members, they called them more people to come through. So that was a community, the first one that I found that popped up where they were very successful. And the reason why I chose this one is because how they described it. They described it so well as being very self-sufficient, clean, and organized. That shows that our people are organized people. That shows that our people naturally want to be clean. We don't want to live in these conditions. That shows that we rather have things organized on how we're going to move forward. And we know that's for a fact because that's how we had it within the scripts. We had the priests, they had to make sure they was clean. Rata went into in his last lesson. We know we got the law on uncleanness. So of course we're going to implement that when we run in our own communities. But still, this city here failed based off of having that one family within, and we try to let them, they own their business. What we should have did is what the law says in Deuteronomy chapter 7. Let's go ahead and get that. Deuteronomy 7, verse 1. That's what we should have did. So it's Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. Got them names in there.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it.
So the Most High told us, he said, look, if you go to a land and you going to possess it, he said, I'm gonna let you know what you do, because you're going into a land where somebody else is dwelling at. So I need to give you instructions of what you do. Go ahead.
And have cast out many nations before thee.
So the Most High says, I'm gonna cast out those nations before you. So you gonna go to that land, those nations is gonna be cast out. Go ahead.
The Hittites,
Jump down to verse 2.
and when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee.
So the Most High says, I'm gonna deliver them before you. These other nations that you're gonna go into their land, and I'm gonna deliver these other nations to you. Go ahead.
Thou shalt smite them.
What do you say?
Thou shalt smite them.
Make business with them.
Thou shalt smite
Keep them around.
Thou shalt smite
Be
them.
on the same team with them.
Thou shalt smite them.
Give them a general store.
Thou shalt smite
The
them.
Most High say, you shall smite them. Smite them. So we had this proper understanding in Rosewood, Florida. We want to understand that, look, that's a cancer cell right there, right there in our community. So therefore, they got to go. You're already running the community based off of the population. But see, this is a time during segregation. So they try to keep as most peace as they can. You know, during them Jim Crow laws, things was getting heated. Our people was afraid of that type of people was afraid of judgment from the other nations. I'll say it like that. So they was afraid of being thrown in the jails. They was afraid to get the dogs put on them. They was afraid of the water hoses. Of course, it's fear, it's natural. But you see within this instance here, it came up against them because they had this one white family within, and she spread a rumor, spread throughout. It was probably her husband who beat her. You know, white people be going through that type of stuff too. They be going through, yeah, it is a movie. So that is a thing that we got to implement, and that's what we should do. If we get in that position again, we're going to make sure that it's only us. You don't allow those cancer cells to be in, because cancer cells spread. It's like leaven. What the Most High say about leaven? He said, even a little leaven up the whole lump. So it's a small thing. We coming up to Passover, so we know about these things. So you got to get those small things of wickedness out. Go ahead and finish that off, verse 2.
And utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them.
Don't make no covenant with them. Don't make no promises. Don't say you can have this, you can have that section right there. We'll have this section over here, even though you're in our community. You can have it right there, though. No, we don't make no covenant for them. Go ahead.
Nor show mercy unto them.
Don't show no mercy, because they ain't gonna show mercy for you. You think them KKK members is going in like, we're gonna negotiate. Let's go talk to them. We love that they're doing. They very clean. It's quiet. They're peaceful. They thriving over here. You know, they just came out of slavery. Now they have some type of freedom. Look at their communities. All well, it's organized. They're not savages anymore. They try to say stuff like that. No, they didn't think about that. They said they're going in for blood. And there was a point within the article as well where it said they was trying to get help from the sheriffs. The sheriff's like, who do you think the sheriff's team is on? Who's on the sheriff's team? The sheriff is the one that's putting on the hoodie to come and destroy it. So that's one community that I found that it was very thriving, and they had a very big impact, such as Black Wall Street. Now, did you want to bring out Black Wall Street facts?
I was going to bring out a few fun facts.
Go ahead.
That furthers back Deuteronomy 28:68. Let's read that one more time.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
Now, during this time, the same tools that white people use to destroy us is the same tools that was used against to destroy them. A lot of white folks wonder why it was like a lot of shark attacks. Where do shark attacks come from? It was from their doings and from their hand movements with how they dealt treacherous with us. Now in this article, it says thrown by sharks. A lot of sharks came over to the Americas, to the coast of the Pacific coast, due to our enslavement. Now it reads, it says the Atlantic slave trade is known as the largest forced immigration in history of the world. Estimated range from 25 to 50 million Africans were forcibly brought to the United States, Caribbean, Central and South America, into Europe. Sharks' migration pattern were changed because of these predators followed the ships in the middle passage because when the slave died, they were thrown overboard. This further proves that we are the ones that was enslaved ships. The white people wonder why were they getting attacked when sharks attack.
Right.
They was eating on our meat. Now they eating on your meat for a whole pleasure. Now they don't want the black meat. They want the white meat. So they wondering why they're going through what they're going through, because that's another curse from the Most High God. He will send plagues and animals to tear up your flesh. This is the thing. Another fun fact you got to understand, during we was taking it to Virginia. If you read the Virginia monumental stones, it says the Africans are Israelites. They already know who we was when they took us. It's a big Virginia stone amalgamate. It calls us Israelites. So that's another fun fact we need to take into consideration.
Hey man, see what the white man doesn't understand is that you shall reap what you sow. So all these things that they've been implementing on us, they're gonna get destroyed. So now look at it. So you got communities getting that we had that was very successful that was getting destroyed. And then you had an aspect where we was getting ate by sharks. Now you got white people getting eaten by sharks or whatever like that. But that's just how things go, because the Most High say you shall reap what you sow. So the same way our communities has gotten destroyed, the same way America gonna get destroyed. The same way these big, their capital, their big buildings. That was our temples. Our temples, our the things that we seen as valuable, our jewelry. They took all those things. We're gonna get those things back. So this is Black history. This is Black history that they should be telling you about. They should be telling you about all of these things. That yes, it was a bad time for us, but we had some good moments as well. And what's coming that happened to us is coming back around to them. So now, I got another one. So the next one, my bad if I'm not pronouncing it right. It's Slocum, Texas. So this is like north of Houston. So within this area, this one is very brief. I just brought this one out because I thought it was interesting on how the article described it. So it's SOLCUM, and I might have, let me see, did I get that spelling right? Yeah, SOLCUM, Texas. So now with this one here, pull it up here. Okay, so this one was similar to how Rosewood, Florida was. So Slocum, Texas. But this one, there's only one small. They didn't allow them to get as successful as Rosewood, basically. So for this one, the population was mainly Black, so-called Blacks. I say so-called Blacks because we really is Blacks. But much of the population was us, and there was a lot of Blacks who owned property. Now, property is an asset. So Blacks in that time, in that area, they was like, man, we're gonna get property. They said many of them own property. And what came with that as well is that they were able to have businesses. What are you going to have on your own property? You have your own type of businesses on your own property. So they had those type of things. But what's funny about this one is that their reign was very short, though. So let me get this article out read real quick. You get your point after. So in this article, it's on zenproject.org. It talks about Slocum, Texas. It says, let me go back. Unlike most Texas communities in the early 20th century, the unincorporated town of Slocum, like Rosewood, which is one we just read about, was largely African-American, with several Black citizens considerably propertied and a few owning stores and other businesses. So we already explained that part. We know that comes with it. But it said this alone might, which we know it is, have been enough to foment violence from the white race. So what happened within this one, Esau saw that they was organizing. Esau saw that they was very involved with owning property. And they understood that that's an asset. And more than likely, it was probably on some very wealthy land. So Esau saw it. And what did they do? They build up some type, it was a confrontation. We used to actually do business with them as well within that land. So they did business with the other white, which is, they already messing up right there, doing business with them, making deals and stuff like that. I mean, not saying you can't do business, but we know Esau, he wicked. So, he gonna stab you in the back. But what Esau did is he said, oh, one of the citizens, he owed me money. What the citizen do though? He said, no, he tried to dispute it. Like, I don't owe you nothing. What you mean? Right. So what did the white man do? He went to go get his friends. And the same story as the one prior is the same way that this one ended. A massacre based off of him saying that, no, I did not owe you money. So the white person, the Edomite, he took it and was like, man, well, these blacks over here, they being rebellious. Do they not know what they doing? Who they talking to? They being rebellious. They came back, and the same story as the one prior is the same way that ended. So the reason why I brought that one out, even though it's very short, is because then it gives you the spirit of Esau. Yeah. The spirit is within his DNA to act that way, and it's written within the scriptures on how he was when he went up against Jacob. So go ahead and get Genesis chapter 27. It's in his DNA to act that way. That's why this man has to be destroyed. That's why he doesn't have no type of opportunity in order to come back and do well. He already had his opportunity. It's within his spirit to act this way. His hatred for you is generational. And his hatred is a great hatred that he won't be able to even understand on why he hates you so much. So get Genesis chapter 27. Read verse 27. Shalom, man. What up? Let me get seated real quick. Yeah, we're gonna go Genesis chapter 27. I read verse 27. Oh wait, hold on a second. Hey Rata, can you answer that question on there? Yasharala United. We'll get back to you. All right, Genesis chapter 27, verse 27. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 27. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field, which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty corn and wine.
So what are we reading? We're reading Jacob blessing. Go ahead.
Let people serve thee and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's son bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that cursed thee, and blessed be he that blesseth you.
So we already know, I just brought it out just in case you didn't know the blessing that we received. The blessing that we receive is above everything. So we was blessed to that point. And now we're going to jump down to verse 41 to understand where Esau's hatred started from. Go ahead.
Verse 41, Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him.
So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing that his father gave him. So from the beginning, ever since he got blessed, Esau always had a hatred for Jacob. So go ahead.
And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
So why would I bring this up? So I bring this out to show the spirit of Esau. Right. See, Esau, he don't care about you. He will slay you and he will backstab you and act like he's your friend at the same time. See, Esau, that's exactly what he did for them in Texas, in Soquel, Texas. It was several black citizens, and all they were doing is just trying to get some property, trying to get assets, get something going for themselves. What did Esau do? He said, no, they can't have that. That's not good. They shouldn't have that type of position. They should be beneath me, as Esau was telling Jacob. And Esau was ready to slay Jacob, and he searched for him. And Jacob had to flee. Jacob had to leave, get out of his presence. Because Esau, he always had that type of spirit. So that is the point that I wanted to bring out for that specific point. You can go ahead and bring out your point that you had, Mosh.
Let me get Deuteronomy 14. Sorry.
(14 and 2). Yeah. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord have chosen thee to be a peculiar people.
Now in this verse, the Lord called us peculiar. That means we were special. Not only do we hear about in our literature books about Alexander the Gay, but it's also another Alexander that we overlook, and his name is Alexander Pushkin. Alexander Pushkin is the father of Russian literature. He helped push and cultivate their literature and their community. If it wasn't for him, Russia wouldn't be Russia. If it wasn't for him. I'm gonna read this little passage for you. I got it. Alexander Pushkin, the father of modern Russian literature, was literally black. His grandfather was actually an African slave named Adam.
God.
Alexander himself was proud of his African ancestry. He didn't hide the fact that he was black. It's just white people hid the fact that he was black because their literature came technically through us. We fathered them. You have the movies like called The Help. We birthing them. You breastfeeding our women, but you saying our women ain't ish. Meanwhile, we have African women named as Queen Nzinga, who fought a rebellion against white people back in the Western Hemisphere when it was being sold on slave trades. It was a black woman fighting against these white people. Now, these are history they don't tell our sisters because they look at them as if they're weaker vessels. Yeah, they're weaker vessels as far as their stature, because their position is not over a man, but they're still strong. You have women who developed the GPS system was a black lady who people overlook and overshadow, but they want to take credit for what we've done. They want to reap our benefits, but the Lord said we are special. We're these individuals that He helped create in the craft.
And didn't Esau wanted to reap Jacob's blessings as well? That's exactly what he wanted. So it's that same spirit. Go ahead, my bad.
And not only that, Alexander Pushkin was one kid shy from having 12 kids. It says he had 2 wives and 11 children. He knew exactly who he was. This is not far-fetched. He's the father of Russian literature. That's another fun fact for Black American history.
See, that's Black history right there. See, our people, we're very smart. Don't let the so-called white man tell us that we not. So that we ain't nothing but athletes. Or we can't do nothing but play music or rap and sing and jump high or whatever and dance and all that stuff. They ain't no entertainer. We gave them everything that they understand. Right. When I get later in the lesson, I'm going to go into the fact that they came to our university pre-slavery. They was within our areas trying to learn from us. They was learning from our historians. Like, oh, tell me more. They didn't understand how they could read the seas and what way to sail in order to get north. They didn't know those type of things. They did not understand that. So do not let this white man tell you that we are not special people. So now I say the term, and I see a comment, not Black, but Israelites. So we know that we're talking about Israelites because the Most High says, for thou art an holy people, which I want to finish that verse that you brought out on verse 2. Go ahead. All right, I'll read it. So it says, for thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord hath chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself. Above all the nations are upon the earth. So we're supposed to have that type of dominion. And it's shown as relevance that we had dominion throughout history, but we always got oppressed and all of our assets got taken away from us. And the reason it did is because the Most High said that no man shall save you. No one's going to save you. He said, you're going to see the glory from me because I'm going to be the one to take you out. Even though I gave you those abilities to reason, I gave you those, you're the salt of the earth, as Matthew 5 says, right? As the salt of the earth. And it says, if the meat lost a savior, then what is it for? That's the earth. If the earth didn't have us, what is it for? The earth is for us. So this is a good little fun fact just to know. But of course, we know what Job 9:24 says. Let's go ahead and get it.
Job chapter 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked.
The Most High said the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He said it was yours, but I got to give it to the wicked now. Because of what? Because of our transgression. He said, so therefore, even though you have these type of abilities, you still going to be oppressed by people that was never a people. By the lowest. People that came from caves that didn't have any, that was the real savages. He said, you're going to be overcome by them. Go ahead.
He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where? And who is he?
If it's not the so-called white man, then who is it? Who overcame us when we had these great civilizations? Did the Arab man come and bomb our banks and all those type of things, our communities? Did they come over here and do that? No, they didn't do that to our communities. They didn't do that to us. Let me get this one real quick. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 5. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 5, down to verse 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 5. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler.
It says, I see an error on the earth. It's all miscombobulated. What's the word? Yeah, that word right there. So he said, I see an error on the earth. And what is it? Go ahead.
Folly is set in great dignity.
So he says, ignorance is put at an above high, which we know that. We know ignorance is put as above high right now. Go ahead.
And rich sit in low places.
And he says, the rich, who is the rich you talking about? We brought that out, Revelations 2 and 9. Who is rich? Israel is rich. So he says, read that verse again.
Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place.
He said the rich is sitting at low places now. They in the bottom of the bottom. Go ahead, verse 7.
Verse 7, I have seen servants upon horses.
It says, I have seen servants upon horses. And you know what that means, to see a servant upon a horse? So you got all them slave movies. I think, what was that? I forgot the name. Yeah, I think it was Django, when he was on the horse. And they was like, wait, why are you on the horse? That was Django. Yeah, you ain't never seen no nigga on a horse. And then the reason, but the Most High said, I ain't never seen Edomite on a horse like that. Like, you say, what's going on? See, now the Edomite, he on the horse. So the Most High says, I have seen servants upon horses. And go ahead.
And prince walking as servants upon the earth.
He says, I see princes. They sitting next to the horses walking. What are they doing? What are they doing walking as servants? When they become servants? Because everything is off place right now. So just bringing out these facts is you're not supposed to be in this position. But we still going to get back to it and show when we had some type of stability. And then unfortunately we got destroyed. But let me bring out another one. We're still gonna keep going. So this one right here is one of my favorite ones. All right. Who knows about Central Park? My Central Park. So, that's the National Historic Landscape that influenced development of urban parks. Central Park, that's in New York. So now, but who knows about Seneca Village? So now I knew a little bit about this, but I just dove deeper. So Seneca Village. So before there was a Central Park in the same location, same exact location, it was Seneca. Nikki be studying. Yeah. So it was called Seneca Village. That is another community, or I guess we call it village, that we owned and that we ruled and that we had a whole community for refuge for us to escape oppression. So within that area, it was just the Jim Crow laws, but the oppression was still high. So we'll come in those areas in order, or the village, they'll take in people in order so they can live comfortably. So it said that, oh, my bad, right here. So it said that the homes that they had, the dwelling places, it went from 1-room houses all the way to 3-story houses. When if you go outside of the village, everybody was all cramped up. So everybody wasn't comfortable. But they went to this village, you had 3-story houses. You was living comfortable. And they had, what else did they have in this area? They had, let's see. So they had their own type of businesses there, the same thing, the same process, the same requirements that you're going to need in a business was stated here as well. So you have your general stores, you have your banking, your banks, you even have, you have your stores, your banks, the gas stations. It was just a public place where we would live and we lived comfortably. So it was an area that we was able to live in. So this started from Andrew My bad, my notes. Okay, Andrew Williams. So Andrew Williams, he was the first to buy the land. It was being sold by another Edomite. But he bought the land. He had the money. He saw like, cool, you got the money. Go ahead. So he took it. And then there was another person. Her name is Epiphany Davis. So they both came together. He bought his, she bought hers, and then there was more people that bought it, but they were so-called black people. So when they owned it, they ended up owning that whole area where you see Central Park. Now there was even heathens in that area. There was some Irish, but it was a very, very small percentage. Majority of the population was us. So we own that area, and we ran it. Now I looked up the information on Central Park, New York City.org, where it breaks down exactly, like, say if you want to go to Central Park, then they'll give you tours on, where you can go. Because if you go to Central Park now, there's a whole bunch of roller rings and just park stuff. Really, it's just a place that you go in order to have a good time. Restaurants, all them type of stuff, extra just activities that you can do basically. But when I went and I looked up Seneca Village on there, it actually does pop up, and it says that it was owned by so-called black people, but it was compensated. They provided compensation in order to own it now, and that's why it became Central Park. So now I did a little further research to see if it was really compensation. Yes, it was compensation, meaning that they just broke them off some money, but they're the people within that area, they're complaining that it wasn't enough money for the quality of the land. So they was complaining about that. But what happened? 32 years went by. Then New York, they enacted a law. They're like, hey, well, y'all just gonna take it because y'all gonna get out. And what did they do? They went in, they brought in their construction, they destroyed everything. And they said that the ones who was living there very comfortably, and it was a refuge for people to have some type of peace to get away from oppression, they had to go to swamps. They was living in swamps. They called it swamps. And they wasn't living comfortable anymore. But it was a big thing. They were complaining that you guys are not giving us as much money as the value of this property is. But we don't got no type of power like that. You know what Esau gonna do? We do the same thing in the hood now. So he'll break you off some change. It might look good, appealing, like you see a check for a couple racks or whatever it might be, but the value of that property is much more. So even if you don't take that, Esau is still gonna try to figure out a way of getting ownership of it, which he does. And the reason that happened, so that was back in 1825, is when we started purchasing everything and we established everything. And then it was over in 1857. So that's about 32 years of us having a full community, living well as refuge, to us being pushed back out to the ghettos, to the swamps, to bad areas, and not living comfortable no more. And now they call it Central Park. Now, why didn't they teach us that in history? That the National Historic Landscape, the first one that influenced urban park, was our community first. Why didn't they tell you about that? It's because they wanted to see that everything that they steal, they said that it was theirs before. They come in and say that this was mine prior, regardless. So that's what Esau did. But we know that's written in the scriptures about on why that happens. It's written in the curses. Get Deuteronomy 28, verse 30. So good old Central Park. It was all ours. And we was thriving. And actually, get it before you get that one, get Ecclesiastes 7:7. And then we'll get that Deuteronomy 28. 28:30, yeah. So first one, we'll get Ecclesiastes. Chapter 7, verse 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
See, a gift destroyed the heart. So because it was a large population, I'm pretty sure there was some stiff-necked Israel up in there like, I'm going to take that money. Look good to us. We're going to take that. We'll build another one. Not understanding that Esau just played Monopoly on you right now. He just cornered you off where you can't even get nothing. So now you're subject to payments, as it says in the scripture. So there's another one too. Go ahead and go get that Deuteronomy 28. 28, read verse 30. Yep.
Deuteronomy 28 and verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife in another. Well done.
Yeah, keep going. That's the second part.
And another man shall lie with her.
So we understand that our wives was taken. Go ahead.
Thou shalt build up an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
So that's the part that I want to focus on, is that we're able to build communities, but the Most High say you're going to build these communities, but another man is going to dwell in there because it's not going to be yours. Go ahead.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof.
So he said you're going to put in work, but you're not going to reap the benefits. So now look out how inspirational Central Park is. It's a national historic landscape now. But that was an area that we was dwelling in, that we was owning. But now the value of it, see, Esau understood the value of it, and he took it. See, for us, we might have, I'm pretty sure there's some in there that understood it, because in the article it said that they argued that, well, you're not giving us as much quality or as much funds for the quality of this. And they try to fight against it, but as the Most High said, it said, ain't gonna have no might in your hand. So jump down to verse 33.
Verse 33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
See, the fruit of thy land. They're going to benefit from that. They benefit from what you started. They benefit from when you began, you laid out the proper foundation for it to continue to prosper. And he comes in and he takes it and then he capitalizes off of it. See, that's the spirit of the so-called white man. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed all the way.
So the Most High says you're going to continue to be oppressed. And we understand that this is because we curse. We understand the curses was pushed because we did not follow the laws of the Most High God. Did not follow those laws. So this is another example. We was very successful. Now, if you go on their website, I was surprised to see it on their website. They do acknowledge it. They said they're unable to pull facts on exactly how we lived within the community, exactly what we owned and different type of things on how we became so successful. They just gave the point that we bought the property and then that we was there for 32 years, but they don't give information on exactly what we did, which obviously we know we have to do something to be there. And you have 3-story houses.
They don't want to say how it was successful and knowledgeable.
Yeah, they don't want to give you that information. They don't want to give you any type of that information, but that's just the spirit of Esau. So now we can go on to the next one, unless you got some more facts you want to bring up.
Another fun fact for my sisters, because I like to address my sisters and give them encouragement. Now, we heard about Queen Elizabeth the Wrinkled, but now there's another queen that people was overlooking in history. Give me Proverbs 4 and verse 7.
Did you call it Queen Elizabeth the
Wrinkled.
Proverbs
4 and 7. Another fun fact for my sisters.
Oh, my bad. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Wisdom is the principal thing.
Now it says wisdom is the main thing. It's like the key ingredient for your freedom, for your reparations, for your liberation. Keep going.
Therefore, get wisdom.
He's telling you, get it, obtain it. He didn't say get butt shots. Don't get breast implants. He said, get this wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Get this milk. Come here. Come drink. Keep going.
And with all thy getting, get understanding.
He's saying get understanding. What's wisdom without understanding if you don't apply it? It become a dead rose to your ears. Now, one woman in particular I want to focus on is called Mom Bet. Mama Bet is the first Black woman freed under Massachusetts laws. And this was her argument. She didn't come in there. She was like, she didn't say, nigga, give me my freedom. Oh, cracker, give me my freedom. No, she came in there with wisdom, came correct, suited and booted, modest apparel, the whole 9 yards. Her thing was, this is her main argument that won her freedom. Her argument was, since it's written in your institution that all men are created equal, then set me free. And that gave her freedom. First woman to do so. She didn't have no lawyer. She just had herself and was self-educated.
What's her name?
Mom Bet. Mumbet. Mom Bet.
She demand for her freedom. Sometimes you got to demand for it. But hey, that sounds like Judith. Judith demand for our freedom in a way in order for us to get free. So the thing is, it all starts with confidence, though. When you have self-identity and knowing who you are, then you know that you should be free. You know that you should have some type of freedom, or you know you should have dominion when you understand who you are. So that's a good point that the brother brought out. I see Thaddeus here. Go ahead.
Let me look it up for you. 1829. Well, no, that's when she died. Let me see. It's 1780.
Con. All right. Well, I got another one. So now we're gonna go on to North Brentwood, Maryland. So go ahead and read this article for me. Let's see real quick. Go ahead. Just read that first paragraph. Sorry, you want me to read it?
No, I got it. Our history of Brentwood. North Brentwood, a suburb of Washington, D.C., is Is that Nestor?
Between, just yeah, right here.
Is a bridge? All right. Between Hattsville and Mount Rainier, Maryland, along Rhode Island Avenue, Route 1. The small town holds the distinction of being the first.
Oh, that's his government body.
Okay, yeah. Incorporated by African Americans, North Brentwood.
Con. Sorry, it's broken off right here. But basically, with this section here, the reason why I chose this one, North Brentwood. So North Brentwood was another community that they had their own government system, or not government system. They had their own political party. So within this area, it was mainly blacks. And at first, I hesitated on bringing this one out based off of their decision on what they decided to do. But I'm pretty sure somebody in there who that's not written in history or Esau's history per se, or you got to dig deeper for it. But basically, the reason why I brought this one out is because they had their own political party. So that shows our people was able to organize and they made their own petitions in order to make movements within their city, and that's how their city began to flourish. So this city was very, they called it clean or self-sufficient as well, based off of the fact that they're able to really just come together in order to make a decision that their community is going to do. So they did well on that. Now with this one, they're more focused on how they're going to be well with the government, the U.S. government. So it was a lot of U.S. veterans up in there and stuff like that. That was our people that wanted to join hand in hand. And what they end up running into is that floods began to mess up their community. So they looked out to local authorities, Esau, for help. And all Esau did was like, oh, I'll just pay it out. Let me just get that from you. And they did. And now it's still there. And then now it's an army base. But the important fact I want to bring out for that story was the fact that we established our own political group. So that shows a lot that we're not ignorant people. We understand politics too. Anything we put our mind to, we can do it. So the fact that they did that, and they're the first all black political group that came out. So I guess that's just for my people that want to vote and stuff like that. But nah, that still was no benefit for them because they only ran it for a few times and then they got paid off and went their way. So they were subject to that gift in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. But I also want to get this precept in Sirach chapter 20, verse 29. Yeah, Sirach chapter 20, verse, oh my bad, not 21, verse 29.
29.
Mm-hmm.
Sirach chapter 20, verse 29. Presents and gift blind the eye of the wise, and stop up his mouth that he cannot reprove.
Most I said presents and gifts is going to blind you. It's going to blind you from the bigger picture. So Esau, he knows he does that now. All we do is just get gifts, like the stimulus check. Everybody voting for Joe Biden, and they happy that he giving us another stimulus check. They happy about those things. You gotta get the vaccination. Damn, I didn't even know that. But people just be so happy based off of that. See, Esau understands how we operate. That's why when you go in the Slauson Mall, they know how to treat you. They know what you want. They got what you want. Look, they know they could disrespect you. You're still gonna return. So that's all that Esau was doing with these other communities here for these last two. Look, I'll just pay it out. I got you. Here's a gift. Look, I'm your friend. What is Sirach 25? Let's get that about your enemy, though. Go ahead and give me. Let me get the scripture real quick. Sirach chapter 12. See, Esau, he even did that with the Native Americans when he came over here. He tried to do well with them, try to act like he was a friend, but he backstabbed them. And then he was like, "Look, we'll give you this section. Y'all have this section. We won't come over on this side." And then it just started getting pushed farther and farther away. See, Esau, you never trust in this man. That's why he has to get judged. There has to be some type of judgment because his track record is undeniable, wicked. You can't negotiate your salvation with that type of track record. You know, if he giving you some money, then there's something behind him.
You 70,000, you about to make 300 million.
That you know he got a profit from anything that he gives you. But go ahead and get that Sirach chapter 12, verse 10.
Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
It's going to continue to grow, and it's not going to go away. As iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. You can't get that rust off that iron. It's done. That's it. You can't try to go over it. It's still going to be there. It's going to be revealed within the sun. So that's exactly how this white man run, man. Go ahead.
Though he humbled himself.
He'll humble himself. It's all good. Look, I know y'all need some money. You know, I know y'all need some help over there. I know y'all out of jobs right now.
Brother.
God, look, this man, he will humble himself. But what will he do? Go ahead.
And go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware of him.
So you better be beware of him. You care about his stature, man. I used to be thinking like, it's just a white man. Like he ain't nothing. Now this man is a cold beast. And that's why he conquers so many kingdoms, is because the way that he moves. See, he comes and he's very, what is it?
Condescending.
Yeah, God. So he uses strategy in order to destroy you. So he not playing no checkers. He playing chess. He gonna figure out, look, he moving 10 steps ahead of you. He don't care if you get a loss. He don't care if you got a community over there. Oh, y'all good. Oh, yeah, they thriving over there. He got something planned for you. So that's how this white man is. It says, take heed and beware of him. Beware. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass.
So you're going to wipe that looking glass, but it ain't going to come off. That rust ain't going to come off. It's going to be stuck there. Go ahead.
And thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away.
Because it's going to be revealed. People try to spray over rust. It's going to be revealed that there was rust there, that the value of that product is not very valuable. That's how this white man is. He ain't valuable. He ain't going to give you no type of value. Even if it sounds well, do not believe everything that man says. Go ahead, read verse 12.
Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
He gonna stand up in thy place. That's what he did. Remember that first one? In Rosewood, where the family was there? The one family that said, look, they good over there. They can have their business in our community. It's okay. They good. It's just one business. We running everything else. He said, read that part again.
Set him not by thee.
Don't set that family by you. God, go ahead.
When he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place.
So when he overthrown you, then he gonna take all your possessions there. That's gonna be his now. And that's exactly what happened in Rosewood. That was theirs now. The KKK came up in there, and that was theirs. It was destroyed. And they took everything with it. Go ahead.
Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And die at thy last, remember my words, and be pricked therewith. So you don't remember the Most High words? He gave you warning, as we are. We giving our people warning. We can't deal with this man no more. This man is not somebody for our benefit. We can't, just because he speaks smooth things, as the scriptures say, does not mean that he has our best benefit. I don't care about Joe Biden and the student loan forgiveness. Oh, you in debt? Yeah, we know you in debt, but that man is not. It's not gonna be for your benefit just because he's gonna pay off your debt, or just because he's gonna give you a stimulus check.
that you gonna go and spend anyways on some chains, and it's gonna go straight back to him. See, that's funny because that's what we implement in the place that I work. We implement that. Say a customer frustrated, they mad and stuff. Like, look, you know what? We'll give you a loyalty card. It ain't nothing but a gift card that you got to pay at one of our places.
Basically, you paying us.
So you gonna get that money back, and that's exactly how Esau operate. He know he gonna get that money back. So that's why I'm saying they playing chess, not checkers. It's a game where you gotta understand your next couple moves, and that man is doing well at it. He has done well. So those were the 4 of the ones that I chose for the communities. There is another point I want to bring out about before slavery, just to bring out relevance of our scholars and stuff like that, on how the fact that we had our own type of schools, our universities, that white people will actually, or European people across the world will come to. It's not just the Europeans or the white men. Let's get that real quick now, unless you want to bring anything else out before I get this.
That's a few fun facts. I'm gonna say.
All right, come. Oh, you want to save it?
I'll save it.
Okay, come. All right, so now let me bring this one out. I'm almost done on my part. So this book, Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism, by John Henrik Clarke, which is a Black historian who passed away in 1998. So this book, it talks about pre-slavery. Great book. Everybody should check it out. Good book. I think there's actually an extended version as well that you can read if you wanted to get into it, but it references other books. Oh, okay, my bad. So Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism. So in this book here, this talks about pre-slavery. So before Christopher Columbus discovered America and exactly what we were doing, and when it even shows that the fact that we had understanding of when we actually went over to this land prior, before Christopher Columbus discovered it somehow. So now I want to bring out a point about the it's called the Scholars of Timbuktu and the University of Sankore. So let me get the page. It's page 63, the first paragraph. I'm gonna have Mosh read it. And this also references the Moors that my people love to claim themselves as. So you'll read this paragraph right here, go all the way, just that one paragraph.
This one, right? Consider
Consolidating.
okay. After consolidating their position in Spain, the Muslims began to establish institutions of research and learning.
So it says the Muslims established institutions of learning, places that we can learn. Go ahead.
Whose brilliance was felt far beyond Spain's border.
And they said their brilliance is far above Spain's borders, which is talking about the so-called white man. It was way above. Go ahead.
This was an achievement not of the Arabs alone,
But it wasn't just them that came up with this achievement, this idea, or had this type of knowledge. Who was it?
it was brought into being by a combination of Africans and Arabs,
So it was blacks and Arabs, and what do they call them?
collectively referred to by Europeans as Moors.
So they called them Moors. Go ahead, read.
The word Moor entered the vocabulary of Europeans, meaning blacks, as in black or Moor.
Gone. So there's a section there to show that when we established, we had institutions of research and learning. So we was very big on, we got to learn. We want information. Let's see how we got to learn these things, which we already know. What was that? Abraham? I think it was Abraham, where it says he was far wise. Or no, that was Solomon. They say he was far wise than anyone in the East Country. So we have a history of just wanting to get understanding of things, which that's what you should do. If you're not learning, then you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're either growing or dying. So that's what we did. So this is one point just to show that we established an institution. But now let me get the second point. It's on page 42. 42, and this is Askia the king. So Askia, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, is a king in Timbuktu who actually, this is the year after Christopher Columbus came over to America. So this is like real fresh as soon as Christopher Columbus went over, because he went to America a few times. So right when Christopher Columbus went to America the first time, this was the king in the Western Hemisphere of Africa. So this is page 42, and read paragraph 2. Go ahead.
Paragraph 2.
Mm-hmm.
Askia encouraged scholarship and literature. Students from all over the Muslim world came to Timbuktu to study grammar, law, and surgery of the University of Singapore.
So people came all across just to learn grammar, law, and surgery. So they try to come just to understand these things. Go ahead, keep going.
Scholars came from North Africa and Europe to confer with learned and historians and writers of this Black empire.
So he called them learned historians. So people from North Africa and in the Europe area as well, they came over to the Western Hemisphere of Africa in order to learn about how to grammar, law, surgery, and I think it even referenced geographics on how you can just understanding everything. So they came over there and they said that these were some learned historians. Let's go talk with them. There's one person there too that's going to talk about. Go ahead.
Many books were written and a Sudanese literature developed.
So we have books, we have literature, information. We develop it, we publish it, make sure that everybody is able to understand it as well. We have to teach our children. We wasn't no ignorant people. We was established. Go ahead.
Leo Africanus, who wrote one of the best known works on the Western Sudan, says.
Now, Leo Africanus, he dwelt in Spain. And this was a so-called white man. But he got an opportunity of coming out to the Western Hemisphere. Remember, it said even in Europe and different areas they actually came. So he was one of them, Leo Africanus. He came to the Western Hemisphere of Africa in order to learn some information. And then he wrote in one of his books on his experience and what he's seen. Go ahead.
In Timbuktu, there was numerous judges.
This is what he says. He said, man, when I went over there was judges. Go ahead.
Doctors.
Clerics. Which is religious leaders. Go ahead.
And receiving good salaries from the king.
Like he said, man, they was making money. They got money over there too. He said, these are some well-understanding people. Go ahead.
He pays great respects to men of learning. There is a big demand for books and manuscripts.
And they got a big demand for books. They always trying to get more information. Go ahead.
Imported from Barbary, North Africa, more profit is made from the book trade than from all other line of business.
They would trade books as form of business because that's how big education was. So I like to bring that part out is because they don't tell you nothing about before slavery. They just said, look, we found them in Africa. They were swinging on some trees. And they didn't have no type of they didn't know how to groom themselves. They didn't know how to wash themselves. They was stinking. They had diseases on the boat. They say it came from us. Now understanding that it really came from them. But they came, they just try to say that we just some savages. But according to history, it says, man, these are some wise and understanding people, as the scriptures say in Deuteronomy chapter 4. It's a wise people. We trying to get information. We trying to understand concepts. We trying to understand why the world moves the way it does. We trying to understand what land is over there. And then even in this book, it talks about the fact that we went over in the America area. That we understood how to get over there. We had maps, which is backed up in the scriptures. So it's so much information, man. Just doing this is just like I don't know. You just get a whole bunch more that you kind of want to go into, but it's just so much. So this is just a little Black history, which I'll bring this last point out. And then if you want to bring out something else, that's cool. But let me get this Babylon and Timbuktu. This is just for people that haven't read it. So Babylon and Timbuktu, right here, from Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor. So within this book, it's going to show you more historical evidence or facts about when we was in Africa, when we was living in Africa, and what they reference us as, and how we operated, and everything that we had. So go ahead and read this highlighted version. Last paragraph, page 90. And this point, the reason I bring this one out is so you understand that when they took you on them slave ships, They didn't take no savages that didn't have no understanding. They took some very special people that had great understanding and skills. Go ahead.
The Black Jews had an advantage over the African tribes. They carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them. This assured them a constant
Precedent.
precedent
Precedent.
for the development of a higher social organization. Because of the stability of the Black Jewish culture, the Jews was not absorbed into the autochthonous population. In fact, the Jews absorbed some of the native tribes.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews made use of every opportunity. They were industrious and skillful people.
So right here, it talks about that the fact that we was a very ambitious, very just go-getters. We kept our records. We was industrious. We was skillful. We made sure that we was ready to learn things. We was working with our hands. And then we understood how to keep records of our history. So we kept that. That's the type of things that we did. Go ahead.
In the Jewish Ghana states were found kings, prince, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, judges, architects, engineers, doctors, historians, language interpreters, mathematicians, jewelers, sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, etc.
God, look, that doesn't sound like a people with no understanding.
Right.
That doesn't sound like a people that don't have no type of history, or people that just don't know how to take care of themselves. That doesn't sound like no type of savages. It sound like some skillful, intelligent, outstanding individuals right there. And that's the type of reputation we had. And as you see, as you go into our communities, our thriving communities that we had, we even had that same reputations in those areas too. They said self-sufficient, clean, quiet people, and they know how to run business over there. So we're going to get away from that reputation that we don't know how to run business, because we know how to run business. It's written in history. We just got to get out of that American mindset in Babylon that we just ain't no type of people. We're special people. And yeah, man, that's my Black history. Now unless Mosh got anything else to bring out, but that's the Black history that I was able to find. God. Now, got any questions?
I want to tell us the fun facts.
Oh, you want some more?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, you want some more fun facts?
Give you some more fun facts.
Right, go ahead and bring out those fun facts.
The last fun fact. Now, we all aware that not only is Oscar de la Hoya is considered the golden child, but Israel is considered the golden child. Let me get Genesis 2 and verse 7.
Genesis. It's the golden child. All right, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
Now, God said, I formed you from the dust of the ground. That's like similar to like clay. I form you from clay.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
And breathe into his nostrils the breath of life.
The breath of life that he breathed into us was wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Because surely we are a special people. Even other niggas can see that.
God.
Everybody want a Dougie like us, can't do it. Off beat, off rhythm. They can't bounce. They bounce and skip and pop. Shoulders looking off balance. Keep going. You know, dislocated elbows and knees. They can't do it. They want to do the busted challenge, the silhouette challenge. They want to do everything like us. They can't do it right. They even want to be Jews. They got the funny little tassels, the zits. Like God said, put fringes on, not zits. Like, come on.
God. And became a living soul.
God said we are the living souls. Now here, where I'm going with this is, when you look into the melanated skin, not only is it minerals from the ground, but certain minerals from the ground contains gold. That's why God said, I'm going to put Israel to the burning fire to turn us into gold, because it's gold in our skin. That's why wherever we are, the Garden of Eden is, because the kingdom is within us. We're the golden child. Now, melanin is more precious than gold right now on the black market. That's why they're taking us. They're taking our kids. They're taking everything that we have. They want our liver. They want our placenta. Now you can sell your placenta for $50,000.
That's why abortion's free, because they want to suck all our babies.
All that. The priests want to do suck, you know what I'm saying? Do crazy stuff with our foreskin. Even Oprah have a little skincare where she put foreskin on her face. Like, it's crazy. We are the golden child. Melanin worth more than gold. Now we're gonna get to this fun fact. Now you got cops shooting brothers with their hands up. If you ain't strong, I don't know who are you. You know what I'm saying? You pretty strong if a cop got to shoot you with your hands up. I'm in fear of my life. Yeah, but my hands is up, brother. Like, how are you in fear if my hands is up? Is my melanated fear you? My melanin fear you? I mean, fear you that much? You know what I'm saying?
Spirit.
Now let's get to this fun fact. Now, in slavery, it was a 12-year-old boy who made vanilla, who revolutionized vanilla. We all know vanilla is black. It wasn't white. Due to the process of white people bleaching it, it became white. Now, we all know white people like vanilla bean. Now, this 12-year-old boy, Edmund Albius, revolutionized vanilla, the vanilla industry. Vanilla is one of the most popular spices and second most expensive spice. Now, this 12-year-old boy, now you can't say Deuteronomy 7:6 does not apply to us. Because at the age 12, he's discovering revolutionary ways to articulate and to process vanilla at a different rate. That is pretty damn special if you ask me. If I'm in slavery, you oppressing me, but my black butt, my so-called black butt is getting Jordan stretches over you. You the Monstars. I'm feeling like Jordan. I'm feeling like the Airborne. I'm feeling like the chosen one. You think Bruce Lee was the chosen one kicking it? No, Bruce Lee wasn't. It's the Afro one. What's his name?
The Black Samurai.
I'm Leon. I'm Leroy. Whatever.
Yeah, Leroy.
He the golden boy. You the golden boy.
God.
So that's my message, man. You are the golden children. Stay golden.
God. God. Okay, for sure. All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate y'all tuning in. All the ones online. Sorry, I wasn't really looking at the comments. I do appreciate y'all and all the support. Make sure to tune in. Probably have something during the week. And then, yeah, just tune in, subscribe, like, share. Shoot us those emails. We do apologize for any delays. It is a lot of emails. So we're trying to get back to those emails as quick as possible in order to whatever questions you guys have. All right, with that, you got anything? Cool.
Shalom.
Take a look. I already got it.